Russia's first mission to the moon in 5 decades has ended in failure. Their Luna 25 spacecraft crashed into surface on approach. The launch marked Russia's first attempt to approach the moon since 1976. The goal was to attempt a landing near the moon's south pole. So Russia can't get to the moon, but we allegedly got to the moon, 50 years ago? Something like that? Is that accurate?
That's accurate. So what you trying to imply? First off, I didn't hit start on recording, so I'm sorry.
Hey, this just came down. TMZ just reported it, so it's breaking news. Did we go to the moon?
Well,
or do you guys think that's a conspiracy that we actually did not go to the moon back in the 70s or whatever it was, 70s or 80s?
That's like a couple questions you asked. The question was, have we been to the moon? Yes. Did we go back in the 70s with the moon race? I don't know. That's the number one conspiracy theory though out there.
That we did not, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But as people tell it though, in order to keep that as a secret, how many layers? I mean, it just the margin would be so little for anything to come out that it wasn't real. So I'm just gonna have to take it for what it is and say yes, it is real. I'm a science, fanatic, so I'm gonna say yes.
But we think about those videos they showed back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Are we now? Now I'm older. I don't know if I believe that. I just don't know if I believe it. The way it looked a little too clean back in the day. My man was hop, skipping, and jumping. Like he had like a jetpack on from like Super Mario Brothers. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. But Russia couldn't do it 50 years later after we did it. So that means that
the Russians done it before.
Evidently not. not according to this. So if that is a huge conspiracy theory, what is the biggest wrestling conspiracy theory you can think of right now that may or may not be true?
The first thing that comes to my mind is the first installment of Kane and the second installment of Kane. When he came back with the arm exposed that second time, I'm like, this is a whole different Kane. And you can't tell me otherwise. You cannot tell me that is the same Kane.
So we switched from Glenn Jacobs to someone else?
Yeah. Or somebody else to Glenn Jacobs.
I wonder if there's some credence to the multiple Ultimate Warriors, right? I never believed it, never got that, but so many people believed there was like 100 different Ultimate Warriors. Mm-hmm. Like maybe I was wrong all these years as a kid. Like maybe there was like 3 different Ultimate Warriors, right?
I don't think so, man. I just think that my man just gave up the steroids. That's all. So he looks different.
Why? So he was like super big at one point and then he got smaller?
Was huge. He was massive. And then the whole steroid thing happened. He left. And he didn't leave because of steroids, but he came back and he was super lean, but it was like, dude, you lost like 30 pounds of muscle mass.
Hey, and he had the RVD like body singlet on.
Oh, God.
It was a little different.
But his face would be the same. I mean, he had face paint.
Yeah, but even his face looked a little different. You got to pull it up. You'll see. You'll see when he came back to save Hogan. It was at Mania. It was Hogan and Sid was on top. And he came back and did a run-in after Papa Shango, I think. And it was like, oh, all right, well, I mean, we'll go along with it if you tell us this is Ultimate Warrior, but we don't know. I still go back to, for me, the Montreal screw drop. It's still a part of me that feels like that whole thing was a work. And I think it's like the best work in the history of works if it was. Just from a business perspective, if you look at how everything worked out after that, I kind of softened my stance on that a little bit in recent years, but gun to my head, if somebody was like, hey, was that a work or not? I probably would say, I think that's a work.
I see that, but I think that's because we had so much time and Brett came back. So if Brett has never come back, I think you might maybe feel a little different. What you think?
Well, when it first happened, I thought it was a work. And I remember when it first happened, the pay-per-view went off the air. I don't know if I was talking to somebody. I had a wrestling hotline back then, so I may have said it on the hotline, but I just remember right after the show went off, I said, if I think I saw what I saw, it's the biggest moment in the history of wrestling. But if I know what I saw is what I saw, I think it's the biggest work I've ever seen. I said it immediately after it was over. Just because like Earl Hebner's reaction, how he got out the ring, I mean, it was just so much to it. They were taping the show Wrestling in Shadows with Bret Hart, which we saw later on, where the entire show was about his contract being up, which really wasn't the case because nobody really knew about it. All of it. I mean, there's just a lot pointing. It's more pointing to it being real, but it's a lot pointing to it being a work too, though.
That's cool. So, that's cool. You actually had a wrestling hotline.
Yeah, man. We called it the 438s. It was all like back in the Detroit days. 438 phone number. Yeah, but it was like 10 minutes, 15-minute caps on. It was basically just a voicemail, right? But it was a voicemail system, so like it was a lot of wrestling hotlines back then. We had a good time. Crazy stuff. And then we did like a virtual wrestling promotion where people would call in and give their characters, and then I would book them in like monthly pay-per-view matches. That was a lot. See, there was a lot going on back then.
This is your calling. You should open up a wrestling company.
All right, let's do that. We just need maybe $500 million to get started.
We rock out with that. We can invest. We can find investors.
Or, I mean, WWE has some money they can give us. Did it not come across to y'all as petty as hell that they really hit home that they sold 91,000 tickets on SmackDown just to like squash when AEW comes out and says that they've hit over like 86, 88,000? It's completely different. You're talking about one show compared to two shows, but Michael Cole really hammered home that this is the most tickets that they've ever sold in a 1 day span, and they've already eclipsed all. I told y'all WrestleMania was going to eclipse like every single wrestling show in the history of the business. Yeah, we saw the ticket prices.
But it's ticket prices. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I thought it was petty as hell. I mean, it felt like a boyfriend talking about his new girlfriend about his old ex-girlfriend. And it's like, hold on, like, who are you trying to convince here? Me or you?
Then he brought it back like DJ Who Kid in the second hour. He's like, just so you know, we sold. I was like, all right, we get it. But I mean, that's a massive shout out to them though. That's huge to be able to sell 91,000 tickets. I don't care if it's over a week, time span. That's major, especially at those prices. That's a big deal. It's a really, really, really big deal. So, all right, y'all, let's get into it, man. Welcome to the TFW podcast. That's Freakin' Wrestling, episode 58, right? Yeah, 58. You guys know us. We are the triple threat, usual suspects. Rhodesia, throwing up gang signs. Ishan, and myself, Matt. Shout out to the listeners and supporters of the pod. We appreciate you guys. You guys know what to do. Hit that follow button on that device you are listening to right now if you have not. While you are there, go ahead and hit that 5-star review. Give us a comment, all that kind of good stuff. And then if you have not hit us up on socials yet, do that. Twitter, that's FNW. YouTube, that's Freakin' Wrestling. We are all there for you to consume us on any and every way possible. Let's get into it, ladies and germs.
And I wasn't throwing up gang signs. This is what I was doing.
Hey, actually, I want to make a special announcement, too. I want to make a special announcement. Much like The Warrior, much like Ryback, I also am going to officially make my name, legally, Big Daddy. It's happening. The papers are in the works. Let's please continue.
All right, good for you, man. Maybe I should get Cash Wooler to show up to your house and put it down on you real quick to let you know, like, hey, that's not a smart idea. My boy Cash Wooler, we gotta start here. All right, we gotta go with this. No flips, just clips. Word on the street is Cash Wooler is the Ja Morant of AEW.
Damn.
Word is, from what I hear, Cash Wooler is the real Gun Club. All right, y'all. Let's talk about it. Allegedly, this happened weeks ago. My man got some road rage issues. Taking the Glock Anderson promo to his real life. He got arraigned on Friday. I think he got a $2,500 bill. Yeah. Whatever. I don't care about none of that. Looks like All Out is still, or All In is still on. There was some worry about that. As wrestling fans, like we got to relax a little bit. The first thing we think about after we hear this man's pointing the gun at people on the highway is, man, is he going to Wembley to work?
Right. Forget what's going on in his world. Who could be victims? Is he a victim? No, it's like, is he going to show up at All In?
Hey, he ain't shoot nobody, right? All right. He's still down there. So give it to me. What y'all think?
I had so many different emotions going on in my head. naturally, the first thing I saw, I'm not going to lie, I thought maybe it was a domestic violence thing. As I got into it and I had more time to look into it more and more, it was I was able to watch that video clip of his arraignment and saw that it was a situation of road rage. He didn't even know the person. And then at the end of it, when the prosecution said, nope, we have no reason to go against just a $2,500 bill. He has no previous record. He's like a law-abiding citizen. Keep it moving. So my emotions kind of went everywhere. I'm like, dang, is Cash a domestic violence person? You know what I mean? And that's wrong to think that initially. But I guess maybe just from the past, like with Benoit and all you think of just that head trauma and things that can happen out of that. And then I was happy to find out he was just showing, repping what he was carrying on him. Don't fuck with me while I'm driving. Don't cut me off. Don't swoop and swap me.
If you do,
you go get this. So
the hammer is out. Yeah, I don't know why I thought the same kind of either. I don't know, like I don't have it in front of me how the wording was.
Yeah,
but I also thought domestic dispute was a thing too for some reason, and I don't. It couldn't have been in the charge because we would have heard that it was something domestic. But yeah, lock toting, casualer.
Hey, I just hope that all parties involved get the help they need. Right? I don't know exactly what happened, but road rage is real, right? And if you got to pull out your Glock to represent, like that's a bit much, right? Like you might have some secret, anger issues possibly, right? But I think about the world we live in. This is taking a step back from wrestling. Like, man, everyone's kind of like on the edge a little bit, and it's sad to see. And look, when I'm driving on these Atlanta streets, I get so frustrated. I get so angry. Like if you ever been in Georgia from like 8 in the morning, no, actually from 7 in the morning, sometimes 6 in the morning to like 9 o'clock at night, it's bumper to bumper traffic all day long, all weekend long. And sometimes I get so frustrated, like, why are we stopping? It's 7:30 at night. Why are we stopping for 5 minutes on the freeway? And I get frustrated. And you see other people frustrated. You see all these accidents and things of that nature. And then people are just so on edge right now. I think we need to take a step back. We need to relax and release and come out with a better way to solve our issues. That's what I just thought, man. It just seems like everybody needs to take a step back. And I hope Cash he's well mentally, spiritually, and also the other guy. I don't know what he did. Like, he could be lying, right? We don't know his story.
Or they could have been the aggressor. They could have said, saying some stuff, and then Cash like, I ain't dealing with you.
Yeah,
that's what I got.
We don't know the story. It could have been the opposite, and my man knew who Cash was, or maybe he didn't. He reported them. Who knows what happened? But somebody need a little bit of assistance. And I'm not saying that facetiously, but I'm saying that for real, like, because that moment is not ideal for anybody.
The rumor that I saw, and it probably has a lot of credence to it, was where were they at? Orlando?
He was in Orlando.
Yeah, so it was hot. Windows are down. Somebody screamed out, "CM Punk sucks." And Cash is like,
I can't play with Matt. Come on.
Cash is like, not today, buddy.
This is a serious matter.
Not today, buddy. I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, I didn't make that up. I'm just letting you know, like, what they're saying.
I know Punk was happy. He was like, "See, I got them goons down with me. I got them."
He's
goons.
like, "Yeah, now what, Bucks? Now what?" Damn. I mean, well, hey,
but I met the Bucks, and they're the nicest guys in the world. They gave me some kayfabe years ago. I told Matt, we talked about it on the pod before. They told me they were running the back for, was it All In or All Out? I get those two mixed up all the time. What did I tell you, Matt? Do you remember what I told you? They said they were. I asked them, All In was the first one, right?
Right.
Yes, All In was the first one. Yep.
And then they told me they were running the back. They didn't say it was All Out, but they said they were doing another show. Like, right? Do you remember?
I can't remember. Are you talking about it? Was it at StarCast?
No, so I'll retell the story. So I had they were here in Rome, Georgia. They were at a autograph signing. This is when I met Booker T, and Booker T and I had this 15-minute conversation, held up the line. It was a really great story. It was really great meeting them. But before that, I met the Bucks, and we were talking. I was tired as usual, and I complained about me being tired at the time. I think my youngest was maybe 1.5 or something like that. And they have kids, so they were relating. We had a good vibe going on. I said, hey, thank you so much for giving us that all-in show. I was there. It was spectacular. Are you guys thinking about doing it again? And they looked around and they said, you know what? Kayfabe. It's like, what's your name, Big Daddy? Kayfabe, Big Daddy.
That's a damn lie.
My story now, all right? I don't need you interjecting nothing. They said, kayfabe, Big Daddy, we're doing it again. And I said, oh my gosh, are you serious? Like, we're doing it again, kayfabe, right? I'm not in the business. I don't know if you knew if I knew what kayfabe meant. So I text Matt. I said, Matt, I got some news.
You did, yep.
Like, they're doing it again, bro.
Yep.
They're doing it again. And like, so I kept that to the chest. I didn't report that to nobody. We didn't go online. We didn't talk about it. I felt like he gave us some insider information. But long story short, really nice guys. You don't need goons to handle them. Just saying.
I guess the other thing too is, if I'm not mistaken, they are taping Collision and Dynamite together this week, which they would have to because they're heading off to Wembley on Sunday morning here in the U.S. anyway. I hope that the Bucks bring some bulletproof vests or something just in case, because Cash Wheeler is shown he about that action, boss. He about that action. And I don't know what to like. Tony's got to figure that out. But in all seriousness, of course, all seriousness, you can't be pointing guns at people because they did something to you on the road. Now, we don't know the situation in the story. We've never heard anything about like Cash doing anything besides beating my man ass who tried to jump on Bret Hart at the Hall of Fame years ago. So we know he got a little dog in him.
We know that.
We've never heard of him being an issue. So we'll let it play out. I did see some things online in typical fashion of how we just take something and run with it. AEW needs to take huge action on Cash. They need to cancel All In. They need to be stripped of the title.
Wait,
it's like,
people were saying that?
Oh, yeah. And of course, hey, in the court of law, you're innocent until proven guilty, or you're supposed to be. We know a lot of times that don't happen, but AEW can't take any action on him. He didn't plead guilty. He pled not guilty. So you gotta let it play out. But if his bond is only $2,500 and he didn't get his passport taken, like this is gonna be one of those maybe community services or something like that, and that's it. But it is just another thing that is potential black eye on AEW when it comes to something, backstage. It's they said that I guess not many people, if anybody, knew of this happening before Friday.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So that means he kept it to himself.
Yep. Because the police report was filed July 28th, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Remember seeing that number. And so here it is, August something. It's like a month later, right?
Yep, July 27th.
Yeah.
On Interstate 4 in Orange County, Florida.
It probably would have behooved him to actually talk to, and I understand probably, he's hoping it dies down. He doesn't have to involve the company, but the company AEW have a legal team, right? That probably could have brought some assistance. That probably could have helped them with this, and it also kind of would have helped minimize any potential negative publicity out of the whole thing. Because as you said, we said it in a private text group. I said, we got 2 big pay-per-views coming up for AEW, and we spend so much time talking about the negative backstage stuff that overshadows the huge success that Wembley Stadium is. It underwhelms like these bills they're trying to make. And they had a loaded Dynamite, right? We're gonna get to that later on, but they had a loaded Dynamite to get this show up and going. So,
you mean loaded like a gun being loaded?
Oh Lord!
Or are you talking like loaded? Yo, you mean like in terms of quality of the actual show?
I mean,
got it.
Yeah, I'm talking about storylines. Yeah,
okay.
Angles.
I was like, oh man, I thought you was telling the joke. I was like, go ahead, I hit it for you.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh Lord.
Y'all got anything else on this before we move on to
I don't
last match?
I don't think there's no way that Tony Khan did not know about this. I think that as soon as this happened, I would imagine him being a veteran that he is would have immediately told his employer, "Hey, this." No,
Matt just said he didn't tell him.
Yeah, so I mean, why would he? What are you gonna say? Like, hey, I was just driving here. No, he didn't get arrested at that point.
He didn't get arrested at the time.
So how is he arraigned? So when did he get arrested?
So July 27th was a Thursday. Maybe he was just pissed off after Dynamite. he probably watched it back and was like, man, this show isn't great right now either. And
You know
got
what?
upset.
Let's
My
move
man
on.
rolled by and was just like, CM Punk sucks. He was like, not today.
Let's
Not
move on.
today.
Let's move on to y'all guy. Let's move on.
Adam Copeland. Edge. I'm just trying to figure out what his new name is going to be in AEW. Like, do you go with like Adam? Like, what's a synonym for Edge?
Cliff.
See. Cliff. Yeah. Cliff. Cliff Copeland.
He owed Cliff.
Cliff Copeland is all elite.
Oh, wait a
That's
minute.
crazy.
So Christian Cage was Christian's original name, right? He just dropped the Christian when he got to WWE. What was Edge's original name? I think it was something Sexton or something like that.
Put that thing up. Put that
I'm
thing
about to
up
pull it right now.
Yeah, I'll set the table. So
I like Cliff better.
Cliff Claxton Copeland. Put it all together, man. He's all elite. Edge wrestled his final match under this contract on SmackDown this past Friday in the match with Sheamus. His contract is up. His contract is up at the end of September. So he's got a few weeks. So anybody who thinks he's going to AEW, he's not going to be at All In. He's not going to be at All Out. But his contract's up. He cut about a 3.5 end of September.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
He cut a 3.5 minute promo right around 4 minutes or so after SmackDown went off the air and, gave it up and basically said that this will be the last time you guys see me live. Talking about, I'm guessing, Toronto. Beth was there, of course, and crying. And the kids were there and all that kind of good stuff. What's next for Edge? You guys he said that he's got to go home and reflect. He's like, as crazy as that sounds, I had to get through this match to figure out what's next for me. Let's fast forward 4 weeks or whatever it is. Edge's contract is now up. He's officially able to do whatever he wants to do. Resign to WWE, retire, go to AEW, whatever the case may be. What are you guys betting right now where he goes or where he ends up?
WWE's given him or gave him at this point such a huge pomp and circumstance send off. I just can't believe come 4 weeks from now, the end of September, rolling into fall, boom, he shows up on AEW. I just can't believe that. If he comes back to wrestling and if he does go to AEW, it can't be anytime soon. And then that makes me think about, okay, well, if it's in a year from now, Christian is 1 year older. If they want to do anything with the Hardys, they're 1 year older. Like,
why would it be a year from now?
I'm just saying, I'm just putting out an arbitrary number because I don't think it'll be this fall. So that's what I'm saying, just in the future. So I'm just using a year. To me, I can't see that. Now, this is the first time that we've seen a mass send-off under the Triple H and not under Vince. But I just can't see him getting all of this just to show up at somebody's other federation and 1 month later. I can't believe that.
Man. You know what? So I thought about this. I don't necessarily want to see Edge in AEW, to be honest with you. But I do remember maybe a year ago, Edge has said that he had 1 more year left. So if his contract is really up, I can see him sitting back and saying, hey, okay, this is my last year of wrestling. What's on my bucket list? What are the things I want to do and accomplish? What are the matches I want to have? Where do I want to wrestle my last year? So I can see possibly him going to AEW or another promotion and maybe fulfilling those bucket list wishes for himself before he finally calls it a career. Because if you look at the WWE and the landscape, what hasn't he done? Like, right, he's made his big return. He's wrestled all the big matches. He's wrestled Roman a couple of times. He's had a match with Sheamus. He's had a match with all the big dogs. The only match he hasn't had is with Cody Rhodes. Not this version of Cody Rhodes. I'm sure they've wrestled in the past. Maybe AEW, a couple of big matches there might be on the horizon for him. Maybe not every week, but if they're at a couple, maybe every other pay-per-view, maybe every quarter or something like that, maybe he does wrestle a couple guys that he's never had a match with, like a Kenny Omega. Maybe he does team with Christian again against the Bucks. Because unlike the Hardys, and sad to say, like Christian and Edge can still go in the ring and look like, they can kind of look like their former selves. So maybe that's what he's thinking. Maybe he's like, at this point, it's not about me making the most money or the biggest splash. Maybe at this point, it's all about me and accomplishing things I want to accomplish before I settle out.
I think there's two possibilities. And the one possibility that's not a possibility, in my opinion, is he resigns to WWE. I think that's not what's happening. Either he's going to retire or he's going to AEW. And if I was a betting man, which I am, especially during football season and basketball season, I would put money down right now that he's in AEW relatively soon. You don't get that type of send-off and come back. Even though he won, right? And it ain't many people that leave on the way out winning. I don't know if I can ever remember anybody that was a plan. Well, actually, never mind. Dean Ambrose, when his final match, when he was with the Shield.
Yeah, but he was treated like the trash underneath your shoe for for that time leading up to it. So I actually forgot that he won his send-off match, but but
remember, they made a big deal. It was a network special and all that.
They did. They made it a big deal. Like, it was like 6 weeks, though. Wasn't it roughly 4 to 6 weeks where he was being a jobber?
Yeah, I'm like, dang.
It was terrible. I'm like, man, I can't even finish this contract out.
Watching Beth cry, I don't think those were like working tears. I think she knew that this is his last match in Toronto. And then even for him to say that, like, how do you know what the WWE schedule is in the next year? I'm sure they do know, but for him to be pretty adamant to that crowd, like, hey, you're not going to see me again live. He knows. I think he's going, I think he's going to AEW. I think it's almost a no-brainer for him because his best friend is working there. For him to be able to end his career, he's already a Hall of Famer. E, to your point, he's done everything as possible to do in WWE. He's done everything. There is not really any other programs that we could say like, man, I'm super excited to see Edge in this program against whoever in the next year. But he's got a lot of opportunities in AEW. He can finish his career off with his best friend, which they are legit best friends. He loves, of course, the Hardys. I mean, there's a lot they could do in AEW. And he can be used, sparingly. And that's one thing that we may talk about AEW, that they have some shortcomings. One of their things that they do extremely well is how they treat legends. Sting has had a career renaissance in AEW. And we can, go down the line of some legends that have shown up and have been given their flowers. But I think he's in AEW before the end of the year. I really do. And I think that with like the video package they did on SmackDown, it felt like a retirement type thing without saying retirement. And I think they stayed away from saying retirement because they're like, hey, there's a chance he could still be wrestling. And even though WWE is his home and all that kind of stuff, I think it's different now. I really do. I think he's probably talked to Christian, and Christian's probably loving his time in AEW. We know Edge also has some other friends in AEW. I'm sure that, for him to be able to really kind of do whatever he wants to do under the realm of, hey, this is still what the program going to be, but you can carve your niche and how you want to do it and your promos and all that kind of stuff, even though we know he's probably got a lot of wiggle room in WWE. I just think this is for him. I think he wants to make sure that he can still go. But after watching him Friday, I'm like, okay, this is it. And I thought the match was really good. I don't think it was like something like super duper special. I thought it was a good match. I thought it was great with the story of just, hey, he helped out Sheamus and Sheamus helped him out and all that kind of good stuff. Being in Toronto, I thought was fantastic. The video packages were excellent.
Yep. Got a lot of people on there.
It was good, right? It was like a good closing of the book for this chapter. And now whatever he decides to do, hey, God bless, 2 thumbs up, whatever that may look like. I know he's got a movie coming out or something, I think that he's doing too. But if I was putting money down, I have him in AEW by the end of the year.
In talking about it, I really didn't want him to go there because they treat their talent well. However, it just creatively, outside of CM Punk and Collision, hasn't been that well. But for the most part, AEW is a blank canvas, right? So Edge can kind of create his own stories and tell them the way he kind of wants to tell them. He can collaborate with Tony and kind of create some things. But that's a gift and a curse for some of the talent there. It's been said multiple times that MJF's storylines are MJF's storylines, and some of them are great and some of them aren't, right? Like the pillars. However,
that was the only one he missed on, and I don't think it was him. I think it was his dance partner.
I gotta be honest with you, I think his entire run has been kind of outside of the Adam Cole stuff we've seen recently. But Edge going there and being very, very smart, right? He knows his wrestling. He's actually pretty good creatively. I think he can kind of help with some of the storylines. The problem is that who are the wrestlers there that want to listen? And I think that's part of Punk's beef with some of the kids in the locker room is that, a lot of them, they don't want to listen. They kind of want to do their own things. But for the people that actually want to listen, there's another voice, another locker room veteran there, and probably somebody can help creatively. Maybe he and Christian can help Dynamite because it's kind of rough over there.
But they're on Collision. He'll definitely be on Collision. He ain't going to Dynamite.
Put him on. Put him on. Put him on Dynamite. They need some help.
What's his so what was his name? I know you looked it up.
Sexton Hardcastle.
Sexton
That
Hardcastle.
sucks.
Oh man, you don't like that?
That sucks awful.
No,
Sexton Hardcastle.
So we can go Sexton Hardcastle. So we can go Cliff Copeland Hardcastle.
Yeah.
Is all elite. Give him the graphic.
I've seen the graphic already.
1st.
Sexy Adam Hardcastle?
Yeah.
Now that's kind of crazy. I mean, if he wants to come back with the long hair. Hey, where's Warlow? Anybody know?
Mm-mm.
Where's Warlow?
Nope.
All right. Bianca. What's up with Bianca? That beat down to me looked like I'm out of here for a little bit.
She said bye-bye.
And I haven't heard of any movies she's doing. I know she was doing that Hulu show with Montez, but I think that's already been filmed. That was filmed when she was champ. And was I reading too much into it, or did y'all get that same feeling too?
That was my exact feeling that I had from it. I'm like, okay, so again, she's been off TV for a while. We finally see her. They make it a big deal that we finally see her after SummerSlam, or all this time has been gone. Next thing we know, she gets beat down in the back. Her knee? They put the knee in her chair, and now she's gonna be gone for a while.
Might be a nice
living her best life.
Maybe it might be a nice refresh for a character, right? If you got one champion, and you got her and Charlotte both vying for that championship, maybe they're gonna go ahead and let Charlotte chase the title for a little while, and they're gonna let Bianca kind of, hold her set to the side, and make that hero's welcome at some point. Get that champion's return. Might not be a bad idea, especially if they don't have anything for her.
What's interesting? Well, she's in the middle of a feud. That's why it was interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's feuding with them. She still went through winning the title and then getting it taken from her immediately by Damage Control, and then for them to jump her backstage. Something about it to me just it felt like being written off.
Yep. For
a little bit. So maybe I'm reading too much into it. Evidently, I read too much into the whole bloodline thing. According to Heyman, Jimmy's gonna be on SmackDown next week, and I thought they'll be gone for a while.
Yep. Oh, he said live. He made a point to say live on SmackDown.
Yep. He'll be on SmackDown next week. But I enjoyed the tag match, the women's tag match. I thought it was good. Mm-hmm. Good piece of business. What wasn't good though was I don't know what they thought was supposed to happen. The fake hot tag where Bianca's crawling to Charlotte and Charlotte's like, she pulling back. I can't grab you. And Bailey's telling Io like, no, not yet. No, not yet. Go get her. And so I was like, wow, all right. But it was still fun.
It wasn't hot enough yet. That's what it was. It wasn't hot enough yet. And he had 90 more seconds to build on the match. So it just wasn't time yet. But that was like really, really weird. Then you had Charlotte talking to Io. Then Io looking at Charlotte like, I don't know what you just said. So now she's looking back at Bailey. Bailey's trying to reinforce whatever that was supposed to have been happening. So, but again, people get it one off. But overall, the match was still great.
Yeah, it was. It was really good. Soup Profits, another week. It's not really a hot take, but I'll say it. Somebody may think it's a hot take. Dawkins is much more comfortable than Montez is in this role right now.
Whoa.
Montez's facial expressions. Go back and watch the match. Anybody who has seen it, some of you guys may know exactly what I'm talking about already. His facial expressions at times during the match kind of didn't match where he was at. They win. He scowls. Then he starts smiling. And then the one that really threw me off. So they're heading to back through the curtain, and they stop because, of course, Bobby's about to come out. Bobby's music hits, and the look on Montez's face was like bewildered. Then he had like kind of like a look of fear, and then like he started smiling. It was really, really strange. I was like, okay, he's still trying to figure out maybe his facials and such. But go back and watch it. I thought that was probably like the biggest noteworthy thing from that segment. But they got new gear. They look good. They got a new finisher, which is great. But yeah, when I saw it, I was just like, okay, he's still trying to figure out exactly what this is for him.
When I first saw the OC coming out, I didn't know who they were wrestling against. But when the OC first came out, I was like, man, I couldn't care less about this match. Like, for real, for real. But then I actually watched the match, and I actually thought the match was really good. I thought it was actually a good showing for both of them. To that point of what you mentioned about Montez, I'm wondering, just by comparison to Dawkins, I'm wondering if because Montez has always been a more... Oh, my mic just fell. Montez has been more...
Oh, she mic dropping.
He's always been more of a caricature. Always. I mean, from the very beginning of the Street Profits, he's always been more animated. Maybe that's the word I should use. So I'm wondering maybe if that is playing into him, either one, trying to figure it out, or if that's what he wants to do. But it sounds like to you, you don't feel like that's... Okay.
Go back. Yeah, go back and watch it today, and you'll see it. I don't think you saw at the end when Bobby came out.
I didn't see that
but
part.
You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Did you see it, E, at all? Did you pay attention?
Yeah, so it's like, so I did see it. I noticed the ending. But before I get there, so we talked about the gear. I gotta be honest with you.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm always honest.
Uh-oh.
I thought that gear sucked. And it distracted me for most of the match. I love Bianca, and I know she's probably doing that gear for $3.99. It ain't. They need something a little more top shelf. Like, like that blue, it wasn't, that little insignia they had, it wasn't sewn in that tight. They need some new top tier heel gear, man. Like that just wasn't it for me. But I do love their finisher. That finisher was nice.
It is.
That finisher was nice. It was crisp. It was clean. That kind of another new finisher because you don't see a lot. I love tag team wrestling. I love seeing tag team moves. Another really good move, and we're gonna get to them later on. Are the guns? I like the guns variation of the Big Rig. It's another variation of the 3D, but I love that too. But Montez and Dawkins, their tag team finish, that was a really nice finish. I'm glad they finally got one because it took them, they've been around for a long time without a finisher, but they finally got one that looked really good. And at the end, I saw exactly what you were saying about, like, Dawkins he started doing the Birdman hand rub, it's on now. It's on now, fam. Like, I can hear his mind going, like, it's on now, fam. And, Montez looked like he didn't know, I don't know what he portrayed, what was supposed to happen in his mind, but it didn't match, right? The segments, etc. Like he didn't know who was coming out or what was happening. GD well was happening, or you should have. Like, right?
Legit.
He should have known.
What's wrong with you, Taz? Like, you don't know, like, Bobby's about to come out. Y'all have done this a couple weeks now. Like, he's gonna come out, he's gonna grab your hand.
And that's your man's, right? That's your man's. That's your man. So it was like, so there's a little bit of a disconnect there. I'm hoping they figure it out. And I'm thinking they got to be a heel team, right? Because they're wrestling, right? They got to be a heel team, right?
OC. Yeah, I mean, they worked OC. We know OC are faces, which, I mean, the OC is good just to be there as a veteran tag team. I was thinking about them, too. Like, this is not what I expected. I know there were injuries and things of that nature that kind of just happened. They've been a little snake bitten, but I'm like, this is not, I think, what we all thought the OC would be when they re-signed with W. Or maybe so. Maybe people knew, like, there wasn't much left. I know you were never excited on them. You didn't like the run that they had a quick run at AEW.
I thought they're horrible runs. Yeah. And if you look at all the guys and gals that H brought back, they all settled right back in the role that they had before they were out, right? Well, either that's sitting and catering or where they were on the card. Like and Triple H is supposedly head of creative, right? You got what's her name? What's part of Team Kick? Dakota Kai's homegirl. Her best friend. The girl with the rainbow hair. Tegan Knox. We ain't seen her. I ain't seen her in forever. But staying with OC,
I think she's been working main event.
Oh, that's why we don't see it. Nobody watches that. But the OC, they're doing exactly what they were doing during their first run, right? They're just backing up AJ. And here's one thing about them loving tag team wrestling. This is why I haven't been feeling them. They have the worst finish their Magic Killer finish is like the worst tag team. Like, I think we should have a poll when they have to have the worst tag team finish I've ever seen. It just looks horrible. It looks horrible. No impact at all. But I would love to see MVP with them. I think if they're really going to have that true heel run, like, because they don't really seem unlikable yet. But get P out there. P can really bring some stank to that group. And I think that's what they need next. And on top of that, the Street Profits needs some new gear. Sorry, Bianca.
Well, they got new gear. So I don't think they're getting any other. Well, we'll see. But it doesn't match Bobby. And hopefully Bobby gets back in the ring soon. I think that's what's going to take their group to the next level. Is when he starts getting back in there and doing his thing.
One thing I would say about the ring gear, I don't have a problem with it. I think it looks fine. The color choice, if you are a bad guy or bad guys, maybe that turquoise aqua blue probably isn't the best.
It was popping.
It should have been more like a dark color or black or something that psychologically is like aggressive. Where you have really soft, like a baby's nursery.
Man, them rhinestones wasn't popping. They wasn't sparkling like they should have. Man, they need some help.
I'm fine with that. It's just a color I didn't care for.
Help.
LA Knight had another awesome night. Second biggest pop compared to Edge.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like he's on his way. I think some people were complaining that it's like, no, guys, like he's not going to fight Rey Mysterio for the U.S. title. Like you knew somehow, some way, Austin Theory was going to win that match. And once again, I talk a lot about facials and telling stories with your face and not always through physicality. What I loved about just the end of that match was he knew he got.
Mm-hmm.
So he's upset, but he's smiling.
Yep. He's like,
once again, that tells you how I should feel about you getting screwed. It was like, man, this little motherfucker got me.
Yep.
All right, I got him next time. And we move on. So, it wasn't the overly complaining, overly shocked, or, it wasn't any of that. It was just like, damn, he got me. All right, I got you back next time. So I thought that was cool.
Yep, that's the only thing I have from that as well, too.
So I've told myself, I'm going to take notes on the show. That's the only note I took. Was LA Knight had a superstar pop on that show. Yep. He had a huge ass reaction, man. The crowd is definitely into him. And it would have been a strange situation, right? Because you kind of want to put some wins under his belt. But definitely the story isn't LA Knight and Rey Mysterio right now, right?
Yeah.
So that would have been a very strange match to have that you wouldn't want to put your up and coming babyface in. But they made sure to really emphasize that they got one over on him.
Yep.
That the match was stolen from him, right? Cole was hammering that constantly. That Miz caused him to defeat, et cetera. So they're trying to protect him, right? And you mentioned the facials, things of that nature. So they try to do a lot of things to protect him from that loss. So it's very interesting to see where they go. But they got somebody, man. Look, they need to do what they need to do. Like, I don't know who the priorities are. I don't know who's on that big board as far as like who their top heels are and who their top faces are. But LA Knight got to be at least number one and number two. And they got to make sure they protect this guy because the crowd was into this guy, super into him, and he can be a big star for him for some time.
He made a comment in his pre-match promo about he doesn't care who's U.S. champion, he's coming for it. So that tells us where he's at. Right? Before we talked about like, hey, is the U.S. title beneath him? Is he going after the U.S. title? Looks like he is. So we're got to now assume that the feud is... I mean, I don't know how I wouldn't want Ray to give Theory the belt right back, but maybe they do a little hot potato just for LA Knight to take it off of Theory.
Because when you agree that maybe Santos should have won it originally?
No, because remember I was always saying LA Knight should have won it originally.
No, I'm talking about between Santos and Ray when that whole thing happened.
Oh, yeah, which he was supposed to beat him clean before he had a concussion.
Right.
So you know what I wouldn't mind seeing? I wouldn't mind seeing, like on Rey Mysterio and Santos on what are in the Waller segment?
Yeah.
They were on that, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So there was no seeds being planted during that interview, right? But they kept talking about like, hey, you got to feel kind of.
Well, he
you
was
gotta feel
trying.
a certain type of way. He was really trying,
Grayson
right?
was trying.
And Santos was like, no, it's my brother. I look up to him, blah, 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 right? And so I would love to see maybe at a WrestleMania, like a hot heel Santos versus a hot face LA Knight, right? Because they got some time to get there. Because, like, let Santos, go through his Rey Mysterio storyline, right? Hopefully that heats him up. He becomes like a great heel that I hope he becomes. He wins the championship. He has some great title defenses, and now LA Knight is chasing a heel Santos, and he gets to fulfill the story at Mania, possibly,
or maybe even the Rumble or something like that.
That's too soon though for
so?
Santos to win to turn heel, and then win the championship.
That's 5
and
months,
then
man.
and then get hot. Because he has to go. He has to feud with Ray right. Because Ray got to get his get back, right? He has to go through the story and through the paces, and then Ray has to have his rematch, etc. And then now the next match you got is with LA Knight, and then he loses. Because at that point, I feel like, well, I guess he can. LA can lose, have a screwy loss, and then they push it back to another pay-per-view. But
I mean, that's 8 months from now. Talking about Mania, that seems like a long time. I don't know if Santos is that big again, but this is all predetermined, right? I guess you got to write for it. Heat
him up. Give him in a microwave. No, maybe in his case, put him in the oven.
350, 400, 450.
Yeah, about 350. 375.
It's 375. Everything going there for 375.
Shout out to Juvenile. 400 degrees.
And we go 400.
What else y'all got from SmackDown?
Okay. Now, I know they have a very good relationship outside of work.
Oh, Roddy's about to get into the shits. I can't wait to hear this one.
No, this is a good thing.
Oh, the way you said, all right, I thought you was about to like.
Oh, because what he said was like low and evil. So Paulie is just so good. And then sometimes his goodness just goes to like pure heel evil. Like, dude, why did you say that you the scumbag of the earth? But Mofo's stressed. Straight stress. First off, his hair is growing out. He hasn't shaved. But when he called out Kayla's family dynamics, oh my God, yikes. I was like, she should have stabbed him for that. Like, you don't talk about it. Because, well, we know that she was adopted. And so when he said, I was like, that was just so messed up. But again, like I said, he's stressed. He gets that call from, we assuming somebody. I mean, we don't even know who that call came from. We just know that he said that Jimmy would be there live on SmackDown next week. But no, Paulie's just so good. Oh, so good.
She should have called Cash on speed dial. It was like, Cash, we got a problem. Show up and show out. You know what I mean?
I mean, for real though. He put that in there, put the knife in, and turned it. Just digging hard, digging. Whoo.
Kayla's facials. We talked about Montez's facials. Oh, boss.
She's great.
Kayla's her reactions to Heyman, she stayed very professional, but she looked slightly irritated. Like, right?
It's perfect for me.
It was really perfect. It seemed you can imagine that she was holding it in, and then after the segment was off, she let out some kind of like or maybe she walked away and called somebody on the phone and said, "This mother," you know what I'm saying? Like she had that conversation.
I know who she called.
Cash.
I know who she called.
He rolled up.
Cash, where you at? Come on, Cash. Cash, I'll be right there. Let me get in this Jeep.
Hey, you know what though? Cash is. Everyone says like, oh, Cash did this. Like he was the quiet one. He was the good one, right? Those are the ones you got to worry about.
Of course.
Like those are the ones you got to worry about.
I don't know why people thought it was Dax. Like Dax, all Dax care about is drinking his tequila and talking about his
daughter.
Family.
His daughter.
That's all Dax to worry about.
Yeah.
He just want to drink. He just want to drink. Talk about his baby girl, right, and have some tequila.
Provide for his family.
That's what he want to do.
That's it.
But look, Cash is a single man.
Hey,
he's quiet.
Hey, no, seriously, think about that. We don't know nothing about Cash.
No,
like all we know
I know something about Cash.
All we know is he's got fantastic with the hot tag. His athleticism has been great. He's really worked on his body. Outside of that, we don't know what he like.
He's
we don't
quiet.
know nothing about him. Yeah,
I don't think
I
don't think he has a girlfriend or a wife or
Mercedes are still like cool. We know that. But other than that, we know nothing about him. I guess he likes tequila too.
Hey, you think what that night when with the Hitman thing happened at the Hall of Fame, right? He was carrying my man out. He was very calm, carrying the dude out. And all of a sudden, he think when ain't nobody looking, bam, right? And then he keep it moving. He trying to fix his tie, and he kept it moving, right? Like he might be like one of them Terminator types.
That's crazy. That's wild. All right, so Kayla being talked about with her mom. What else? And her dad.
That was it. And her cousins.
Family too.
Yeah.
You got anything from SmackDown E that we haven't hit on?
No, I'm very interested in a deep dive into this AEW talks before we get there. I gotta ask you guys a question real quick. Just pause on the wrestling. I know this is freaking wrestling, right? But I gotta ask you, when I hear basketball conversation, I gotta talk to you guys about it, because it kind of plays into like the storylines and things we see in wrestling. One of my favorite podcasts to listen to are the Gil's Arenas, and he had Andre Iguodala in there.
Hold on, Gilbert Bang Bang too, though, right? Gilbert Bang Bang.
I was about to say, hold on, we get Cash, Gilbert, and Ja together. Triple threat shooters, baby.
Boom, boom, right?
Just call it 3 in the chamber.
And Evan Turner was on there too. They had a really interesting conversation. So Andre serves still on the NBA committees and boards, so he couldn't really dive into this conversation. But what they were trying to talk about was this narrative that we all kind of talk about, is that the NBA and the referees fixed these games. And he was talking about Evan Turner and AI were talking about a Philadelphia series they had with the Miami Heat or Celtics or something like that. And he said that Elton Brand sat these guys down. He said, "Hey, look, I need y'all to understand something. The NBA, if we win, it's like if we win tonight, we gotta win by 15 to win by 1. Because there's a lot of money at stake in this matchup. Think about it. Would you want to see us or the Celtics play the Heat?" And I might be getting the team wrong if somebody listened to it. It's like, would you want to see us win or the Celtics win? Because I don't want to see that. I wouldn't want to see us versus the Heat. Like, they will lose millions of dollars if we were in that matchup. Like, it's all about M's and M's, memories and millions. So essentially, what they were saying is that the league is aware of storylines. And they're aware of what matchups are going to produce them the most monies. So pretty much what they were saying is that these referees are fixing these games, and they're calling more whistles than they would, based on like the storyline. So he was just saying that, hey, we're going to win. We gotta beat them by 15 to win by 1. And I was like, damn, NBA is just like wrestling. They fixing these games, and the referees are calling these shots. And I guess supposedly there's a Netflix show on as well. So I just thought about something. Everyone talks about how fake wrestling is. Well, obviously there's some fakeness in NBA too.
Everything is pro wrestling. I've always said that. Everything. Watching UFC last night, and they're getting to the end. Shane O'Malley knocks my boy out, TKO. And they get to the end, they're kind of promoting all the other matches that they had. And they were talking about the women's match. They were talking about how it's going to be, possibly 2 Asian Chinese fighters next time. And then the announcer says, and she plays the heel role very well. I'm just like, what?
Or no, she accepts the heel role very well, is what he said. Yeah.
Everything is wrestling. We know that.
Yeah.
Everything is pro wrestling. But nobody likes pro wrestling, right? Pro wrestling is like the lowest entertainment medium there is, but everything takes from wrestling.
And that's what Elton Brand said at the end. He was like, you got to understand, this is entertainment business.
Yep.
But I mean, NBA has always been that way as far as their finals and their championship matches. Like, they don't want to go anywhere like a Cleveland, like a Detroit. They want to go to Miami. They want to go to LA. They want to go to those hot spots. New York.
Unless there's a great story behind it. I mean, all of it is story. Anything we watch, it's because there's a story invested to it. Even sports. I mean, no matter what's, football, every sport, movies, everything, there needs to be some type of story behind it. You may not realize that's why you enjoy it, but it's because of the story. Even if the story is, I just want to see the greatest of all time continue to be great. That's a storyline. When Tiger Woods was killing golf, that was a story. Can he win another championship? It goes on and on and on. But yeah, everything is story based.
Hey Matt, what do you think our story was on that 05 run when our Pistons won that chip, right? Do you think the storyline was team basketball at the highest level? Because we didn't have a star. We were in the Midwest. 04. 03, 04, right? 03, 04.
03, 04.
That's what it was. It was the Pistons, who don't have any major superstars, were able to shut every team down through their defense because of Larry Brown, which Larry Brown is a gold in basketball laurels. And they were able to shut everybody down and scoring 68 points a game. Imagine that now. There's teams that score 68 points midway through the second quarter.
Not going to be able to do it.
We were out here scoring 68 points the entire game.
Do you remember back in the day at the Pistons, this was at the Palace, when they were at the Palace, if we won and we scored more than 90 points, we got a free taco? Do you
never
remember
got no tacos.
that? We
went
never
home
got
hungry
tacos.
every single day.
Yeah, never had
Every
a taco.
single game went home hungry. Jesus. What the hell, man? Y'all want to go to Dynamite? Y'all want to go to Collision? So are we going to talk good stuff first, or we want to talk bad stuff first?
Well, I want to talk about
It's all good stuff.
First.
It's all good stuff.
Talking about how I won on that Sugar Shane O'Malley fight. Give me my money.
All right, tell the folks
What you
want.
get?
I didn't even bother asking.
Yeah,
Didn't even bother asking.
So I bet on every UFC big card. I bet on the underdog every time. And I bet 50 cents here and there for all of the matches. But for the main event, I bet a whopping $1. And guess how much I made back? $3.25.
Let's go.
So
Let's go.
All I have to do next time is bet 100, and then I can get $325.
Hey, where the gunshot at? We cash willing it all day long. Where the gunshot at, Matt? Huh?
He's disgusted.
I'm not hitting a gunshot. For one, she said $1. I don't even know what that is. I don't know, like, if that is after Cash gets the Dynamite and he takes one of the Young Bucks out, and that's what the other one is called. But $1 equals $3.25.
You
that
know, black people put S's on the back of everything.
That's embarrassing. Don't come out here and tell people you are betting $1. Like, it was fun the first couple weeks, but now I'm at a point where I'm upset now.
Why?
Because you could have done $50 and you would have won what? 175?
Yeah, close to that, yeah. Or about
something
150.
Like that?
Yep, 150.
You could have even done $5. What $5 got you? $15?
About $15.
I'm over here gunshotting.
Thank you.
I'm over here gunshotting. I got
you. Thank you for representing.
You got another fight on September 9th.
Yep.
I'm gonna need you to double your winnings. You know what?
Okay, so maybe the listeners can contribute then to the Rhodesia FanDuel gambling fund. And I'll share. I'll share my riches and my wealth and my.
You couldn't get that lie out.
I know, right?
Sitting there sound like Scott Steiner. So let's start with Dynamite.
Yes.
Which I thought Dynamite was a horrible show.
Oh my God, are we serious right now?
I thought, and I'm not gonna spend a ton of time on it because I thought Collision was really fun.
God.
But all you need to know is Collision actually had a majority of squash matches on their show. And Collision was a better show than Dynamite.
I don't agree. I don't agree with that.
The Kenny JR promo looked like a damn parody.
It did not.
It was shot in a way where I was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be laughing right now or am I supposed to be invested in what they're saying. And the crazy thing is they had a fantastic, you know what I'm talking about. They had a fantastic video package from DDT with Takeshita and Kenny. I'm like, oh, this is great. And then as soon as the physicality started, and they shoot the JR twice.
Poor Jim Ross. Like, oh, my Lord.
Why did they do that?
Oh.
I thought it was horrendous.
Damn it.
The Jericho Callis.
Mm-hmm.
That was horrible.
That was the only thing I didn't like, but we got something beautiful out of that segment. We got all his stuff. Whew. We got Will Ospreay in his gray sweatsuit pants. Whew.
Look at this lady.
We can have that match. We can have that interaction every single week if we want to.
Hey, if I was a female or if I thought I was sexually attracted to Ospreay, then great. Maybe that segment would have been fantastic. I'm not, and it sucked. It was trash. So let me get this right. I just want to make sure. Just tell me if I'm off, both of you, please. So Callis thinks Jericho's turning heel, so he gets this painting of him, right? Of him being beheaded, which the painting was actually pretty sweet.
It was
evil. Jericho decides to turn heel and say, "Yep, I'm gonna go with you." But he says, like, "Hey, you had something for me." Then okay, but so he's heel right now. Now he's heel in this moment. He's heel because he's going with Don Callis, the devil of AEW, outside of MJF. They show the painting. Then Callis proceeds to cut a promo, even though he was prompted by Jericho to cut a promo on Jericho.
That was really facious.
To say about why did you do this? And it's because you're an egomaniac, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now Jericho turns back face and say like, all right, then I don't want to be with you. And then Ospreay comes out, jumps Jericho, where they've had no interaction before this.
Nope.
And now that's the match at All In. I'm not even gonna get to All In right now. We can do a kind of a deep dive on Wednesday's pod because we will be doing actually a live podcast after All In next Sunday. Immediately after the show, we will be live on Twitter, on YouTube, probably try to get Facebook going. If you can't join us, then of course we'll still drop it as a pod later on the day. So we'll be doing a podcast later on after All In. But I thought that made no sense whatsoever. Talk me off the ledge then, evidently, Rhodesia. I mean, you said you didn't like it either. Am I off base in that entire segment just didn't make sense?
That show sucked.
And there you go. All right.
That show did not suck. That sucked. That Jericho and Don Callis segment absolutely sucked again, minus Will Ospreay. But again, I'll even talk about the Will Ospreay thing. I know you said we'll talk about it later, but that was just so lazy in that booking. There's nothing invested in me because I know Will Ospreay is not going to be wrestling in sweatpants. So to me, there's nothing invested in me for watching that Jericho.
That's the only reason. That's the only reason why you're there.
No. You get what I mean, though. The point is, that was terrible. But I like that Sammy came out, so he still is repping for Jericho. Overall, that whole Dynamite, I actually really, really liked. You can't talk about like the MJF and Adam Cole promo. Stinger.
Stop. We're just right now. We're talking Jericho and Callis.
Yeah, but you said the show sucked, and then even Eshawn
said
the show
because
sucked.
I haven't even gotten to the Chainsaw Massacre match yet.
But okay, go ahead.
It was a 2-hour show, not a 5-minute segment.
Yeah, I haven't even gotten to. We know the Cole and MJF was incredible, which we'll talk about. Mm-hmm. But outside of that, that was the only thing on that show. To me, that was really worthwhile. So you thought the Chainsaw Massacre was great?
Well, my notes on the Chainsaw Massacre was exactly what I expected out of the people that was participating in it. I actually can appreciate more of that match with those people because I don't want you bumping in the ring. I don't want you taking bumps. I would rather you do that.
I don't want you on my TV either.
Man, not there. And the people were like, yeah, but they gave, $100,000, donation from the match or, from the.
And that's amazing.
From the, what is it called? Some sponsorship to Maui and the Fires, which that absolutely deserves a round of applause. 100%. I also love, too, Tony making the entire week Fight of the Fallen with proceeds going to Maui. Fantastic. Absolutely. You could have done it with good TV, though.
But no, I thought it was
just
good TV.
Just because you're giving the money to a great cause and a charity does not mean we need to sit through crap. And that Texas Chainsaw Massacre was some of the worst.
No,
TV.
There was only one thing that was bad on that.
It was the entire match.
No, it wasn't. It was only one thing, and it's when Leatherface came out with the chainsaw. That was like, okay, all right, I can't take up for that. But other than that. No, I love the blood scene in the back where he poured blood all over Jeff Jarrett. And then in the end of the match, at the end of the match, it looked like he's been bloodied and he wasn't actually bloody. I think for who was in that match, I thought that was perfect. I thought that you can have, because how long it was too, and I think that's probably why you may feel this way too. For the length of time, I would rather see that type of match between the Jeffs than to see them actually wrestling in the ring. Because I know I don't want to see that on my TV, to see them in the actual ring. So to me, I like that.
I'm glad you enjoyed it then. At least
I did. I had a lot of fun watching that.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing from that show that was fantastic, Cole and MJF. I love the Outback Steakhouse video package. I loved even more the promos after that in the ring. So we are at the point of no return with this MJF face turn, right?
We have to be. Have to be.
Because there is nothing he can do that would get him booed against Adam Cole, right?
Outside of him calling up Cash, that's about it.
And he may not even get booed. Well, we know Cash can't carry across the UK, but he may have a plug somewhere out there.
I'm talking about shooting him. Outside of shooting Adam Cole, there's nothing really. What happened for people to boo MJF?
I think he's a face.
Mm-hmm.
he's shown the personality to turn on MJF more than MJF has shown the personality to turn on Cole. So that's the other thing too, right? Like he was setting up for the super kick on Dynamite. MJF can watch that back. So even if MJF cheats to win, which he set everything out, man, like they did such a great job with those promos, but he set everything out on why the match is so important to him. Cole did the same thing. So they both basically said, I mean, Cole started by saying, I would do anything to win this match. So if MJF uses the ring or whatever the case may be, you still wouldn't boo him. He's still not a heel because you just said you would do anything to me first. When I saw Wednesday, I was like, okay, maybe this really is, you're still a little trepidatious with MJF. You're still like, all right, you've been acting like a face like all summer, but this still could be a joke. You still could be just kind of reeling in Adam Cole. And at this point, I'm like, oh no, he's a face. I am so intrigued. It looks like they're going ahead with this tag match during 0 hour. It is going to lead to something in the main event. Okay. And I do think the double clothesline spot is going to lead to some type of turn or something too. But man, I thought it was fantastic. I thought they nailed and they sold the pay-per-view. If anybody was on the fence about ordering All In, and as much as I don't want to say this is a one-match card, because it's not a one-match card, there's some matches on this show that is going to be really strong work-wise and some things that they've done storyline-wise that I'm invested in. But this feels like the biggest main event in AEW history.
We got, I would call him stockbroker. We got Roddy Strong breaking his foot.
He is comedy relief, man.
I mean, this show, I'm gonna tell you right now, hot take, flaming hot take was hotter than hot. A blazing hot take. Mm-hmm. Dynamite was my favorite show this week.
Were you drinking?
Nope. Oh. I was wide awake. That was my absolute favorite show this week. It was fun. I laughed. I was entertained throughout the whole show. Dr. Brubaker had a match that wasn't bad. Not saying that she always have on bad matches, but I was actually kind of happy that she had a solid match and that they looked good in it too. Overall, I really loved it. And in the main event with the Gun Club, I mean, I loved Dynamite. Dynamite, I thought was actually very good. And the Kenny Omega thing, I thought was perfectly fine. You making fun of how they panned over to JR. Okay, maybe the cameraman shouldn't have did that. Maybe that would make you feel completely different about it.
He did it twice.
He did it twice.
Like, why do you keep shooting JR?
Yeah. Or why are you going for help? Why are you going for help or something? And then my only other thing with Adam Page, I did get mad that, you were able to get an ambulance and do this video recording, but you couldn't do it in front of a hospital, a real hospital. To me, that was more caricature than what you feel about the Kenny Omega spot.
No, they see, but according to the internet, they wanted him to cut that promo backstage at the arena. And CM Punk said, "Look, man, like you need to go find a hospital to shoot this."
But they still didn't go to a hospital.
He was trying to help him out. That's all that was.
Whatever. And then you got the Joker's thing. I mean, come on. I've never seen this side of Sting. So when I'm seeing this and I'm watching how he's interacting with Prince Nana, I'm like, Sting is kind of psycho. He's kind of crazy.
I do wonder if he meant to say 9 days and he messed up or what? Because when he said how many days was away and Prince Nana was like, no, actually.
It was 7 days or something like that. He said, yeah.
Whatever he said.
But he did. He took it in stride and kept moving. He kept talking. I love that. So to me, maybe, okay, quality of the show, you could probably say Dynamite was the worst. But for me, being entertained as a fan, to me, Dynamite was my favorite show as far as entertainment of this week.
That's cool. That's cool.
Is that my ears? I keep hearing like a fart sound in my ear. Maybe it's, I don't know what's going on here. It keeps throwing me off. But yeah, the show. So I said the show sucked. I would say it probably was average for an AEW show. If you look at the start of the show, you had Orange Cassidy and Wheeler Yuta, right? Nice little match. Mm-hmm. Orange Cassidy's a workhorse.
Eddie came back
at the end, right? So that was nice. But there's a lot of chaos right up until he coming out. So, but I would say that segment was pretty good, right? And then you got the Jericho thing. Not interested in it. It hasn't been. I actually saw that coming from the start of it. that he wasn't going to be in the clique and something was going to happen, but the kind of way they did it, I just wasn't entertained by the two of them in the ring for so long. It seemed clumsy the way it happened. Oh, let's see what you got. What do you got in there? Let's go in there and see. Like it just seemed very clumsy the entire time. Like, oh, you thought I wasn't going to say yes, so I had to. Like, it didn't sit right with me, the entire thing. And then you got the Gates of Agony, right? I was never a fan of Joker Sting. I'm sure you guys weren't watching TNA back in the day when he first did this. And for people, they really enjoyed this version of Sting because this version of Sting you started seeing as far as on the microphone and him being very talkative and animated. Like that all happened in TNA. Like he just went up a notch. I think the best version of Sting that I've seen in a long time was in TNA. And people were a fan of the Joker Sting. I'm not a fan of that. So that didn't hit for me.
Why aren't you?
I don't like it. It's just something that doesn't hit for me. It's not anything. It's not that he doesn't play the character well. It's just that I just don't personally like the crazy version of Sting. Okay. I like the Crow version of Sting. I like the TNA version of Sting where he's kind of gotten the microphone. He can just had cut, really good promos. It's just that version just didn't hit for me. And then just to end the show with that Texas Chainsaw match or whatever it was, it just seemed campy. It was like a D-level horror movie to me. I'm not a fan of seeing Karen on my TV screen screaming. Karen. I don't like none of it. I don't like seeing Jeff Jarrett. I didn't like none of it. It just didn't, for me as a viewer, it just didn't hit. And so when I watch Dynamite, these are the stars I'm getting. I'm getting a Jeff Jarrett. I'm getting Karen Jarrett. I'm getting, Chris Jericho. I'm getting these crazy BCC and Orange Cassidy melees. It's just not for me. If this is what I'm going to see every day on Dynamite, I'm good with Dynamite. Like all my guys are on Collision. Even on a squash match field Collision show, which it wasn't a lot. I guess some things did happen, but you would think that Dynamite had a lot more things happening, but I still enjoy Collision because the pace of the show still is more for me.
But what's funny too? Like I knew Dynamite wasn't going to be the best by the card. The card wasn't great. The card wasn't great on the Collision, really.
It wasn't. Yeah, you can't say it was good in there.
But they did some really good things during the show. The card for Wednesday is going to be great, though. We got Swerve and AR Fox against Darby and Nick Wayne. That's going to be great. Moxley versus Phoenix. That's going to be a good match. Jake Perry is going to be retiring the FTW Championship. We know something's going to happen with that. That's going to be good. Face off with FTR and Young Bucks. That's going to be strong. The Elite versus Juice and the Guns. We know that's going to be good. Renee speaks to both Adam Cole and MJF. That's going to be strong. Sky versus Ruby. I'm looking forward to that. The contract signing for Jericho and Ospreay. They need to do something to heat that up.
Yeah.
Which hopefully they will. Yep. And then Aussie Open versus the Hardy. So a much, 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 much better card on this Wednesday's Dynamite. So I'm looking forward to it. But when I saw the card on Dynamite, and I remember Tony saying something years ago when Sting came, and they didn't announce Sting, that TNT was a little upset, or there was something with the network because they didn't announce the surprise. And then after that, everything that happens on these shows, we kind of get announced beforehand. Mm-hmm. I do wish, and not to say that it would have changed my opinion on Dynamite. I still think Dynamite wasn't a good show, but don't give me everything that's going to happen. Like, just if you want to just tell me who we're going to see and throw out the main event, cool. But when you don't have the best card, you don't do yourself a solid by giving us the card beforehand. Let us just watch and then find out what the matches are going to be. I think that would help much better than just throwing everything out every single week. Even when we get there could be like a run-in, or there could be like something happen and then we get a backstage promo because of something that just happened, and they'll announce that we were going to hear from that person days before. It's like, no, just let it happen. Just let it happen.
That point there is true. I mean, it has to be something. When you said if TNT was mad, you got to let it be known so you can get more viewers. Okay, I can't argue with that or get mad at that if that's part of their business structure. But I think that you might be just a little bit jaded to Dynamite, because I'm looking back at the card and what was advertised. Mm-hmm. And what was advertised, or if I'm just looking at what the run sheet, all of this is entertaining. Now, maybe it's just not your style of wrestling that you like. Because
Give me
like,
the rundown real quick because I don't remember the entire rundown.
So we have Orange and Yuta.
I wasn't looking forward to that, to be honest.
Okay. You have the Kenny Omega interview. You have Adam Page interview. You have Jericho Don Callis. You have
I wasn't looking forward to Jericho Don Callis.
You had Jack Perry just going to retire the FTW championship.
No, that's this upcoming week.
Right, but they talked about it, that he's going to retire.
No, I'm talking about the actual rundown. Don't give me what happened on the show. What did they announce before?
Okay. Oh, I don't know what they... I'm sorry. Okay. Then I'm ignorant, and that's...
your point is mute then.
As far as what you had said as them advertising the show, but I'm looking back at the show, and I don't think that this was a bad show. Yeah, I don't think this was a bad show at all. And then you finished with the Gun Club and Bucks match, which to me, I thought was actually really awesome. The synergy they displayed in that match between the brothers and the ring awareness and just knowing where everybody's at. Like, it was such a fluid, awesome match. Like, again, I think y'all might be just a little bit jaded, or this is just not y'all cup of tea, and that's okay too, because we already know that there's people out there that didn't care for certain things. But I like this show. There, besides Jericho Don Callis, there's really nothing on this show that I can really get angry about.
No, for me, it was exactly what you said. Because if it's a soft brand split, like most of my favorite wrestlers, aside from Swerve, like I gotta tune in and see what Swerve is doing. I like what they're doing. AR Fox. But outside of Swerve, all my guys are on Collision. Right, so Young Bucks right now, they're like, I was a big Young Bucks guy, but over the past year, really after they've kind of turned face from their heel run, they've seen uninspired to me. I think Kenny's been uninspired since he's been back. I think the BCC without Bryan Danielson is kind of rudderless. I think Chris Jericho sucks. I know he works hard. Jericho just isn't for me. It's just that the guys on that show, they're just not for me, and the style of story that they tell just isn't for me as a fan. And I'm not getting enough of the things I do like to kind of minimize that, because everything I do like is pretty much on Collision. So yeah, for me, I don't think necessarily it's jaded, but it is, as you said, it's just the talent and the way they present their stories isn't for me.
And that's what it is. I mean, because I love Lucha Bros. Like, a lot of the talent I'm still fans of. I'm still a fan of Britt. And I'm looking at the card. So yeah, the card, but I knew when I looked at this card, I was just like, this is a missable show. That's all.
So could you have gone into it watching it knowing that? And that could have changed kind of your view of what you was watching? No,
I don't think so, because there was just some of this, like, I don't care about Darby and Nick versus Gates of Agony. I didn't care about the Jericho thing. I didn't care about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And even though I knew it was going to be a good match, I didn't care about Orange and Wheeler Yuta either. So that left MJF and Adam Cole, the Kenny Omega promo, and then the Guns versus the Bucks for the most part. So
man, and Darby Allin, man, he is serving some double duty. He getting his ass whooped by a lot of people right now, right? He getting his ass whooped by a whole ass clique when it comes to the Mogul Embassy. And then now, Lucha and Christian beating that ass too. Woo!
And him and Christian killed on Collision.
They did.
Man, that was Collision's main event spot is slowly becoming the match
premiere
of like the week spot, which was great to see. Like, and I love to watch just Christian work with like the younger talent, like somebody like Darby, that's just balls to the wall, 100 miles an hour. He made Darby slow down a little bit. Of course, in that match, the spots that needed to be remembered was memorable.
Yeah,
like the drop kick, to the outside on the chair. That wasn't just a throwaway spot. They showed it like 3 or 4 different times on replay. It was an awesome main event. And it goes back to kind of just the presentation for me on Collision, where Darby seems like such a big deal on Collision. And not that he doesn't seem like a big deal on Dynamite. It just comes across way more on Collision. We got Punk and Joe official for All In.
So what's up? What was his gear? What was up with that?
That was the old Killer Bees conquistadors gimmick. If you really want to go, and now this is where we can nerd out if you want to. CM Punk's first appearance on AEW had AC written down on his shoe.
Okay.
Adam Cole was coming after that.
Okay.
So if you want to look into this, Edge and Christian did wear those for a time period in WWE before. So if you want to look into it,
wow.
there you go. But
I
enjoy that too, though.
Hey, Matt, real quick though, when I was looking up Edge's name, 16 Hardcastle, also another name was Conquistador Uno. So to your point,
see, there you go.
I ain't gonna lie. When I first saw him come out to the ring, first off, I was like, "Who's this man with his dad bod coming to the ring?" first off, but then when he picked Samoa Joe up, I was like, "Oh shit!" And then when he made him go to sleep, I'm like, "Okay." At that point, I knew it was Punk, but I'm like, "Whoa!" I didn't know Punk was still that strong. So I was really impressed by that. That was a hell of a way to start the show.
Oh, I knew that was Punk's dad bod the whole time. Like, oh, that's Punk.
I only knew it when he hit the knee in the corner. And that's when the crowd picked up on it too.
Okay,
which was cool.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I knew the entire time. I was like, oh, that's Punk, because like it made sense. Like, okay, yes, that's him in the whole garb, and I was kind of onto that. But I mean, it'd be interesting to hear you guys' comments because Collision I liked it. It was a good wrestling show. Like, damn, it's the show. It's kind of like the go home show for them before like the next pay-per-view, right? And they had a lot of.
They got one more. More this Saturday.
Right, because right. I keep thinking WWE has their shows on Saturday, right? On Sunday.
Yeah, they got
it's still 2 weeks before, but they had a lot of almost squash matches on this show.
That was my biggest beef, man. I said on Twitter yesterday that you wouldn't know by watching AEW's weekly TV that they're putting on the biggest show in history.
Yeah.
And like we know the show is going to be great. We know All In is going to be top to bottom an awesome show because the majority of AEW pay-per-views are awesome. We know that. But I just want them to get the fruits of their labor. I want this to feel like this is the biggest show in AEW history. This is the biggest show in wrestling history because if you look at butts and seats from a legit number standpoint, it is. Outside of a show that it was in Korea years and years ago, but people had to go. It was like forced from the country to go to the show, so that don't count. But I'm talking about people who are paying tickets. This is the biggest show in wrestling history. And it doesn't feel like that. So when you look at the card from Dynamite, if you look at the card from last night, and yes, I know they are trying to promote both All In and All Out, but then I would also say they got a little bit of opportunities there with two because we have 2 matches now set for All Out. You could start promoting All Out now if it has nothing to do with All In, but then that also tells me that maybe that 80% of the matches from All Out will be dictated from All In. And I think without even seeing the card for All Out, I wonder if the All Out card would be better than All In.
Possible. It's possible.
I do wonder. I do. I think we get Kenny and Takeshita 101. I think we know we're getting some with MJF. We know we're getting some with Punk separately, of course. And we're going to get Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks came out last night and said, look, man, it is not 30 days from then. I only got 2 more weeks from tonight. So he's available for All Out. And we see Big Bill is the guy that he was talking about, which anything that we can do to make him a bigger deal than what he is, I'm all for. I did think it would be a little bit more than just one person, but I'm good because the promo was great. His video package beforehand was great.
Oh, the visuals of that.
Ricky is a star.
If
Collision gets canceled next week, the biggest thing that comes out of it is the things that Punk did and Ricky Starks.
Yeah, Tony Khan a couple of years ago had said he kind of envisioned Ricky Starks kind of like in a Shawn Michaels role back in, I think, 95, 96, where he kind of sat on commentary, kind of played as Diesel's manager for a little bit. It was all, and this all was done to kind of keep Shawn Michaels fresh. And when you saw him, it was an experience. Like they didn't want to put Vince at that time. They want to put Shawn out there every week to have wrestle matches. He wanted him to be kind of a big deal, kind of like how Roddy Piper was back in the day. And Tony had mentioned that. So this kind of plays right into that wheelhouse, right? Big Bill is his Diesel. He's his quote unquote manager. They're kind of doing things to kind of keep him not wrestling. So when he wrestles is a super big deal, but to keep what's important is his personality, his character, his charisma. And so you're seeing that on full display. From a character perspective, this was a really good show. We got a lot of the Bang Bang Gang on this show. What do you guys think about Dalton Castle? Do you think this was his coming out Pause. You think this was his arrival on live TV?
God, I was so happy to see Dalton Castle. I was like, and I forgot what he called his guys that helps him, or his assistants out to the boys. Yeah, I knew it was a specific name. I love Dalton Castle. I thought that it brought some lightness to the show because Collision is, I think, it's pretty serious, but it brought some lightness to the show that I really liked about Collision. So I was so happy to see Dalton Castle. He looked bigger than last time I thought he looked when I saw him at Warrior. Was he bigger, Matt?
No, he's probably about the same size.
Okay.
I mean, Dalton's been at it for a long time, so anytime he can get in front of more eyes, I think is great. This is maybe possibly the most eyes he's ever wrestled in front of TV audience, probably.
He's been on Dynamite a couple times, though.
Okay. So then no, but I mean, yeah, I'm down for anything we can get with Dalton Castle. He's really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping he becomes a permanent fixture on Collision because his presentation is needed.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, you mentioned the Gun Club minus Cash Wooler. Them boys, man, they are doing some really good, fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Everything they're getting now, they're starting to knock out the park. And the Gun Club, I know it was cool to hate on the Gun Club months and months ago.
I always loved the Gun Club.
And back then, we said it like, they got something, man. They got something. And they got something.
Mm-hmm.
They look fantastic.
Yeah. I feel like they need a heater. They need like a big dude because like they're all of those guys in the group, all four of them, they're all kind of Shawn Michaels types, big mouth guys, not really big. They need like that enforcer. I don't know who that can be, but they need to add an enforcer to that team. And you think about the Gun Club. Have you guys seen the version in Japan?
No,
I have.
Weak. This is actually a better version. To me,
this is Bullet Club Gold right here.
Yeah,
I can't figure out their name to save my life. So if you saw my notes here of what I called them, it's kind of sad.
So here's what I think.
Well,
I think at any point, if something pops off where they can't call themselves Bullet Club, I think they're gonna go out by Bang Bang Gang because Jay says it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like right, so I think they're kind of setting up shop to where that could be a permanent name if something was to pop off. I'm probably pretty sure they're probably paying or the name's being given to them on loan because New Japan owns that name, right?
I think so. I'm not sure though. I mean, it would make sense, but also the Bang Bang Gang sounds like the cocky, cool, hip heel thing to say too. So, what else? What else y'all got?
I loved that video package with 10 being down in Mexico. And then assuming Roosh just kidnapped him. I don't know what's about to happen with that. But I really liked that in that segment of interaction. I liked Sting and Darby showing up in an ATL, rolling up on AR Fox.
That was cool.
That was so cool.
If somebody would have said Sting shows up in a indie promotion / wrestling school in 2023, man, oh man, like you just don't know what. That's the fun part about wrestling. You gotta add that part on it to jump somebody. And he's the face. Shows up in their own school, and he's the face. That's cool.
But as you guys said, that main event was really good. Christian showed up and showed out again. Darby. Darby's the man. Like he's putting in a lot of work, man.
Mm-hmm.
He's putting in a lot of work on that show.
I don't really care much right now about seeing Darby and Luchasaurus. I don't. They got
because that's the matchup at All Out, right?
Yeah, yep.
That is the one of the
Yep, for the TNT title. But hopefully they do something in the next couple of weeks. That's just hard. That's hard. I mean, they're trying their best, but that's hard to. I mean, right now Darby has 2 to 3 different feuds going.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like concurrently. So it's hard to heat that matchup when the main match is a match with Sting, a casket match in Wembley. And then you got a week later, you got his match for the TNT title. I get it. Speaking of TNT title, or really TBS, Jade was backstage this week at Dynamite.
Oh.
So, yep, hopefully that shows and means that she'll be back pretty soon. It'd be really cool. I don't know if she shows up at All In, but if we can get her at either All In or All Out, get her back. She's missed on AEW TV.
You guys didn't like the women's match?
Oh, I love the Willow and Diamante
Of
match.
course, yeah.
Man. Oh, and they wrestle hard and strong.
Man, I talked about it with that pounce. She hit Diamante outside the ring.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. She almost
her
broke her neck to the corner of
she
the
pounced her into
barricade.
Dynamite.
Yeah.
Diamante looked up and Diamante was like, damn, it's Wednesday. That is crazy. And I've heard it live before, but Diamante has the hardest wrestling music right now. Like that goes.
So
That
now we
goes.
talking. I'm like, we can't finish up a show when we've been talking about women's
done.
wrestling,
I wasn't
and
done,
we're not talking about
homie.
that match.
Homie,
Hey,
I wasn't done.
and Matt, you're right. Like when her music comes, it comes out pretty
Goes,
hard,
man.
right?
Sure.
It comes out
Yes,
pretty
sir.
hard.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
she hit that. She feeling her cash moment. You know, she come out with that. She let them clips go out. You know what I'm saying?
That thing said,
Hey,
I got salsa. Let's go.
hey, and so like I'm actually a fan of her. She's wrestled a lot on Dark. Sorry to say, but she hit that clip a little bit different than she normally does, and I felt like she was channeling her spirit animal, Cash Wheeler, in her mind when she let them clips go. I was like, go ahead, girl. And Willow, man, like she's like on another level right now.
Yes, she is.
Like,
she's a star.
if you watch her come out in her entrance, like all the way to the end, man, like she got it, man. She like they're definitely investing into her, and it's very well deserved because she has it. They need to keep on pushing her.
And that was why I brought up what I brought up last week about just where do you guys see her? Because I mean, she's really, really good. She's really good.
She's really
and
good.
like, you know, her and Chris together, got to see where that kind of goes.
Yeah,
But
I don't care about that.
But did you see the difference I was telling you about? Like, so when Willow comes out and then when Chris comes out, there's like definitely a difference in as far as like I just don't know if Chris knows who her character is yet.
I don't think they know.
Right.
Right?
Well,
You know,
Because
of course,
on TV, they even said last week they still said there was an alien in the ring. So if on commentary you still referring to Chris as an alien, then what is she? Who is she?
But see, that's the problem with their creative is that they don't necessarily have a creative plan for certain characters. It's up to that character or that wrestler to bring that presentation to management, and then they'll try to do something with it, right? Whereas Willow, it doesn't see. I don't know her as a person, but she comes off like that's just her. Like that's just her from start to finish.
yeah,
she's ad-libbing.
That's still a character though. Like she's the happy-go-lucky girl that always tells you to smile no matter what happens. She's positive. That's still a bona fide character.
But that's
Chris,
but I would say that's.
Chris is.
But I would say but I would say with Willow, that's probably a part of her personality that she's playing up on the crowd, and that's the best characters, right? It's who you it's a part of your personality that you play up. Like I don't know who Chris is as a character. Is her alien who she is as a person? Like if she's not able to play that up on the big screen, like I feel like she needs to figure out who she is and how she wants to portray herself.
But then when you don't have characters that are fleshed out, and we get something like Tony Storm who knocked it out the park again with Lexi backstage, you can see it. You can really see it. Like it's almost like a joke when you see something like that on AEW TV because we're not used to it. And that's also a good thing too. Like everything doesn't have to be character driven. Like, you know, UFC or boxing, yes, there are some characters, but a lot of times you just gravitate to who you gravitate to and you enjoy their story.
Right.
I just think a lot of times people they need to have a story. That's all. Like,
Hey, help me out with Tony too, because I'm pretty sure Lexi was the same interviewer from the week
She
before,
was.
right?
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I started cracking. Like, wait a minute, that's the same person, right? That's what I was like. Oh, that's funny, right? I'm like, she's trying to pretend like she didn't know who the woman is.
It's and it's like progressively weekly she gets more like
unhinged.
Older. Yeah, like she looks more like Marilyn Monroe, more like in the 60s every single week. So cool. Super cool.
The one thing that was kind of still a letdown, and again, we got, I guess, a little bit of time here, but Miro, okay, so that actual video package wasn't bad. It was just how it ended to me that was kind of weird to me. So now that Miro doesn't have a redeemer anymore, he is now the redeemer, and now he's going to also be Hobbs' redeemer. The way that video package ended from how Hobbs' reaction was, I thought that was a complete miss because I've already said that I'm already kind of on Miro, and I didn't feel any better watching that.
I love me some Hobbs, man. Hobbs just look better and better, man. His physically, he looks like a menace. I like Miro, but I think that the Miro story is probably the weakest thing on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't get it.
That's
all. Like, I don't get it from Miro's perspective. Like, we like him because he's great. We like his promos, but to me, a lot of his promos are nonsensical. They are.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So like last night, I was kind of like, okay, well, I don't understand. All right, this is going to be a good match at All Out, but Hobbs is picking on the biggest dog in the yard, the Redeemer, et cetera, et cetera. But then like the promo just didn't hit. And I also just want to know where Andrade is after he got his mask. Hopefully this leads to the Roosh thing. Maybe not though, because Andrade is a face, but it's like, all right, where you at, man?
Well, he's feuding with HOB, and unfortunately, HOB is also in 2 storylines as well, right? Because of this pay-per-view, they're also feuding.
That's what I meant to ask you guys.
Daddy Arse.
Do you think this leads to him getting a final match? It either All In or I'm guessing All Out. I think All In is probably fleshed out. Billy Gunn is this whole thing. House of Black jumped. Damn, I'm forgetting their name. Acclaim. So do we think that leads to a trios match?
I might be mean in saying this. I don't want it to.
What else could it be leading to then? Do they do Andrade and their claim against House of Black? But that wouldn't make sense for the titles.
Then maybe you bring back Billy then for his final match.
So for me, I think there's 2 stories on Collision that just aren't clicking for me. Like the first story was Andrade as a face against HOB. I just don't think that Andrade comes across like a face. His character, the suits, and I hate to say this, Andrade has a very thick accent. He will be better. He's better suited as a heel. He can stand there. He can look good. He can come in with sound bites, and somebody can do the talking for him. That's what worked really well in NXT with Selena. It just doesn't connect for me. So I hope they're resetting his character and they're bringing it back. But at the same time, they have enough heels on that show. If you got the Bang Bang Gang, if you got HOB, I don't know what we're doing with Punk, but we definitely, Samoa Joe is a heel, and he's on the show quite often. They definitely do need another face, but I just don't know if he's that face. Miro is coming off as a face, but his character, really the Antichrist guy, that's against his God, and that's renounced his wife and all these different things. He's a heel character. He's a hero that we should cheer. Like, I think that the Miro and Andrade things are something they need to probably revise. They both seem better suited to be heel characters, but that show is in need of more face characters. So those are 2 things I think they need to figure out.
I can see that. Girl. I can see that. So we got All In week from today. Got All Out 2 weeks from today.
Oh Lord.
So big time wallet spinning, big time TV to watch from an AEW perspective. Y'all got anything else before we get on out of here?
Nope.
All right, so to run down, don't mess with Cash Wheeler. He keeps it on him.
Stay strapped.
Stay strapped. So,
as he should.
Y'all heard. We put y'all up on game. All right, that's all we got, right? Y'all ain't got nothing else? We wrapping until Wednesday?
Until Wednesday.
All right, y'all got it. Y'all heard it. Thank you guys for listening. We will be back here, I guess bright and early, however you want to look at it, on a Wednesday. Thank you guys for listening. We will see you in a few days. Peace.
Be well.